Hello, senior class of 2024. My name is Connor Hamburg, and I would like to talk to you about the importance of living a life which is enriched by Jesus. I have 3 moments throughout my long life that I believe can offer some food for thought and reflection. I wish to talk about instances that have formed newer communities in my life, times of healing, and times of unconditional love for something other than yourself. I believe that my life can offer up some insight on the grace of life and the grace of God. I also hope that before I go, I can make a lasting impact on your life and give you the strength to change yourself in the hope of changing for the better of yourself and, most importantly, God. I'd like to begin by talking about the importance of communion with others and how, with the support of others, you can strengthen your own relationship with Jesus. I would like to talk about something that I think you can relate to, as you have also gone through it. I'm going to talk about my time in high school. When I was 14 years old, in my freshman year of high school, I had traveled to a new school away from all my friends I had met in my middle school years. Throughout the rest of my freshman year, I had made many friends, but I could never get over how I had been truly alone and not with the people who I truly wished to surround myself with. In my sophomore year of high school, I, like yourself, experienced a change academically, physically, but most importantly socially. I was able to strengthen friendships with others, and now I had a redeemed sense of importance in my new friendships in high school. Sitting at the lunch table, I sat next to my friend Miles, and we were having a very boring, albeit standard conversation when I realized that Miles and I had been sitting next to each other every day for more than 2 years, but I had never really valued him like I did with my middle school friends. My previous friends had moved on from me, while I had been trying to connect with them, and I was indirectly neglecting Miles and others who have been making an effort throughout my time in high school. After realizing this, I made an effort to spend time outside of school with Miles and everyone who was at that table. And they have taught me many things to this day, and some have even been with me until their last breaths. That is why I implore you, as a senior who may be going to college, to make the effort to reach out to others because they will lift you up more than you will ever be able to do to yourself. Next, I would like to talk about my years as a young adult with a promising future, much like yourself, but more about how I had almost destroyed everything I worked so hard to fulfill. When you go to college, you will be introduced to many harmful people, but the most harmful thing that you can come into contact with is harmful substances. I won't go into further detail, but when I was 22, that is exactly what I was introduced to, and because of my own ignorance, I began to habitually abuse these substances. My actions eventually caught up to me, and after a long month of reflection, contemplation, and eventual contrition, I was released and introduced to my parole officer, Mr. Mayer. Mr. Mayer was an old man who had also been in my position before, and he taught me everything he knew about rehabilitation. He took me to rehab centers and also helped me do my community service, even though he never had to. After almost 3 years, my parole supervision was almost over, and once June came around, my final meeting with Mr. Mayer also came. Mr. Mayer came to my house, and we sat down talking about how long I had been clean and how I would eventually be able to travel out of state. After an hour, Mr. Mayer laid his hand on my shoulder and told me about how proud he was that I had been able to be completely rehabilitated, and he was truly sad that he wouldn't be able to see me anymore. After Mr. Mayer had left, I had cried of happiness and I felt like a whole person again. Mr. Mayer had helped me heal from my previous wounds and open myself up to God. Without him, I think that I would be living a godless life filled with nothing but sin and disgrace. Going into college, don't let stress and anxiety take over you, and just give yourself a moment to breathe and heal. When you become a working adult, you will likely feel that your life and stability is dictated by the amount of money you make and how much you have saved for retirement. I'm here to tell you that is completely wrong, and that the most important thing is that you have someone who you can love unconditionally. Me and my wife have been married for more than 50 years, but when I was 36, me and my wife had only been married for a little more than a year. Me and my wife weren't rich, but we still loved each other regardless of our financial situation. That was truly put to the test when I had come down with very serious pneumonia and was laid off from my job. My wife was forced to get a job despite not having worked ever since we got married, and I had felt so hopeless and guilty for the toils of my wife. However, my wife never complained and maintained a smile every day. After a year, I had gotten a stable job, which had even paid more than my previous job, and when I gave her the news, she was ecstatic. However, what surprised me was that she wasn't happy of not having to work. She was happy that I had finally been able to achieve what I had wanted for over a year. Since that day, I've never ever looked back, and I've spent every day, good and bad, trying to achieve greater things for my wife. And if we had never shared our unconditional love, I never would have been able to achieve what I had thought was impossible for me. I implore you to find someone to love with everything you have, because that love will let you achieve the impossible. I hope that some of the stories of my life have been able to be valuable for you. I think that if you take all these graces that I have received in my life and put them to use in your own life, you can become closer to God and become more knowledgeable of Jesus. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you can use my lessons to be more Christ-like. Thank you.